How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over the Game Week 11 preview as we usually do over on Twitter at Dayvy FPL. I asked you guys for your talking points and questions and you hit me back with a lot of them, so let's cover them in this video. I hope you guys have had a stellar Game Week 10 and are really hyped for Game Week 11. We're kind of heading into this little bit of a busy period. The December period is always stacked with fixtures, so I hope you guys are keen and ready for a great FPL kind of mid-season. The questions range from kind of what to do with certain players like Pukki and Otamendi, which is really easy for me to answer as I'm personally dealing with those two players in my own FPL team. But we're also going to be looking at the likes of Jamie Vardy and what to do with Sergio Aguero before we turn our attention to some other assets from teams that you probably haven't been looking at yet. But without further ado, let's get into the preview. So as we usually do with these previews, a little bit of a reminder of the League Cup. This reminder is a little bit easier than the Champions League, as usually teams don't really play their full 11 for these League Cup games, but we are approaching the later stages of the League Cup competition. So as you can see at the bottom there, losing is somewhat better. I don't mean losing in general for that team. Losing is never an option for your own team, but with FPL options, we are kind of approaching that League Cup stage where they're going to be playing games instead of Premier League fixtures, and if they do get knocked out of the League Cup, they're going to be playing less minutes, and for us FPL managers, that's always better as there's less rotation risks. So I know that's not really a good thing to have, losing is somewhat better, but just for us FPL managers, it's simply true. So just keep an eye out for your injured players and their minutes. But as I said, not as tough as the Champions League. The League Cup is kind of a smaller competition, so managers usually put some youth players in. I can think of the likes of Liverpool versus Arsenal. I doubt that Liverpool will be playing Sadio Mane, Firmino and Salah. There's already been rumors that Harvey Elliott and Brewster will be starting in that game. So just keep an eye out for your players if they do get injured, but there's less of a rotation risk and kind of injury proneness in these League Cup games. My watch list for upcoming Game Week 11 has changed quite a bit. It was kind of stale in the last couple previews. I had the exact same watch list, so a little bit of freshness here. We have Mopai. Sorry if I am butchering that name. I don't really know if the pronunciation is right there. You're going to be hearing that name quite a lot throughout the video, so hopefully I am saying it right. But he's a 6 million priced attacker for Brighton. I know that Brighton attackers we usually are synonymous with Glenn Murray, but Mopai is a new player that we are looking at. Has scored 4 goals and 0 assists, and he has played 690 minutes. Seems like he's that main centre forward for Brighton, and they do have a very nice fixture against Norwich. So for a little bit of a one game week punch, you could go for him. The other option on the watch list is Benjamin Mendy. 5.9 million, has not managed to get an assist or a goal, quite controversially after this game week where that assist was taken away from him. But he has only played 207 minutes, and we kind of have seen him come back from injury, and he definitely looks like he's going to be playing in that Man City lineup. But we will talk about Benjamin Mendy a little bit later on. Then we have the main man, Jamie Vardy. For those of you who haven't watched that 9-0 versus Southampton, I know it was against 10 men, but 9-0 is definitely impressive, and I was happy to see Jamie Vardy get on the end of things. He is priced at 9.2 million, but that's almost certain to rise up before that Game Week 11 deadline. So if you do want him in your squads, definitely monitor that price rise. But he's managed to score 9 goals and 2 assists this season, having played 900 minutes. So that's plenty of minutes for the Leicester striker, so definitely looks nailed on in that Leicester lineup. But he does look like he's producing some impressive stats, and if he does continue this kind of form, he's definitely going to be hitting that 20 goal a season mark by the end of the season. So definitely want to look out for one that I'm trying to get into my squad, but I think that I'll probably have to use a wild card as he is quite expensive at that 9.2, probably rising to 9.3 million mark. But let's get into the first question. So the first question is what to do with Otamendi. Those of you who have owned him, since I brought him in, he featured once, but then has been benched or injured for those next 2 game weeks. So definitely looks like one that we have to be transferring out. The main reason is that he was fit for last game week, but he was chosen to remain on the bench. They went for the likes of Fernandinho, who is a CDM at heart. So you can kind of see what Pep Guardiola thinks of Otamendi if he's willing to play a midfielder instead of the Argentine. So we have three options here that you can kind of go for. Obviously, the main one Ben Chilwell, he had a stellar game week 10, scoring about 20 points, comes in at 5.5 million, 3 assists and 1 goal this season, so looks like a good option there. Clean sheets that he's managed is 3. I know Leicester have stereotypically not have the best defense, especially since the likes of Harry Maguire has departed, but Soyuncu has filled that position well, and I think that with Leicester's form and how well they generally are playing, they're going to be getting a lot more clean sheets from now to the end of the season. So Ben Chilwell kind of comes in as a little bit of an alternative to Pereira, a cheap alternative, so those are always welcome, but definitely one that I'd be looking at if you don't have Leicester defensive cover. Then we're going on to Benjamin Mendy, who I wanted to spend a little bit more time on from the watch list. He looks like he's going to be starting most games, especially with the likes of Zinchenko having that knee operation in Barcelona, so looks like a long recovery for Zinchenko there. So Benjamin Mendy should start the games. I know there is a threat of Cancelo, but I do think that Pep probably favors Benjamin Mendy a little bit more, as he has been in that Man City squad for a longer period of time and has kind of got that Man City philosophy down. Man City's fixtures are approaching quite a tough spot, so if you do want to take a punt on the Man City defense and kind of take that risk of rotation on with it, you could opt for Benjamin Mendy. Quite expensive, so I do advise, if you don't have any fires to put out, I would go for him, but if you do, I wouldn't kind of add this added risk of a Man City option in defense, especially with the rotation. I'm looking at another kind of 1 week punt, so I'm monitoring if Benjamin Mendy does start in the League Cup tonight, and then we'll take it from there. The other option is Willy Bolly. I know that he is injured at the moment, missed out on that Newcastle game, but probably wouldn't have got a clean sheet anyway. He's managed 1 assist, 0 goals, doesn't offer that much attacking threat, but you're kind of just opting for Wolves' fixtures, and they do have some very nice fixtures. We spoke about it with Raul Jimenez last game week, but it looks like Wolves should be showing up defensively, especially with those fixtures. They should be getting some clean sheets. Managed 3 clean sheets already, which is quite respectable, but at 5 million definitely looks like a cheaper alternative to Otamendi if you are looking for another centre back. Now the next question, and the question we usually answer every single preview, is what to do with Teemu Pukki. So I've opted for 3 strikers here that are cheaper. Obviously the main 2 that I would go for is either Tammy Abraham or try and squeeze that budget for Jamie Vardy if you can. But if you can't afford them or don't have the cash in the bank, these are 3 options that you could go for. Mupai, I spoke about him, the 6 million Brighton attacker. Brighton got on a little bit of a tough run now, but they do have Norwich away. Norwich at home, excuse me, so that's a great fixture, and you've seen how bad Norwich have defended in the previous game week, so I'm definitely expecting for Brighton to win that game, and maybe Mupai can get some returns. So he's managed, as I said, 4 goals. Those have come generally in the past couple game weeks, and he does look like he's that favoured striker, so I'm expecting him to get some returns against Norwich. Then we have Ashley Barnes, a player that I owned throughout the season but managed to transfer him out as he was not hitting form. The only reason I have Ashley Barnes in here, it's not because he's been particularly impressive with his stats over the past couple game weeks. It's simply that Burnley go on a very nice run of about 5 fixtures right now. So if you want to take a punt on a player and a team that has a nice run of fixtures, you might as well do it with Burnley. I know there are other midfield options that are probably better, but if you're looking for an attacking option, I would look at Ashley Barnes. Wood seems to have picked up a little bit of an injury, so Ashley Barnes looks nailed in that lineup. I know there is some competition between Jay Rodriguez, so just keep an eye on that. But with Ashley Barnes, played 706 minutes, looks quite nailed, and worth a punt if you don't want to keep your patience with Pukki. The other option we do have is Musset from Sheffield United. He has only played 197 minutes, but has managed 3 goals in that. He also comes in at 4.9 million, so it might be a little bit of a budget enabler so that you can upgrade other departments of your FPL squads. I think Musset is going to be getting a lot more minutes. It seems like match fitness was a problem with him, and that he has regained that now and should be starting some more FPL games, and therefore that should equal some FPL points. If you take his kind of minutes to goal returns, that's very good, and I am expecting him to hopefully take advantage of these nice Sheffield United fixtures coming up. I know that Sheffield United aren't the best attacking side, but I definitely think that Musset can get some returns. Now we're going to turn our attention to Manchester United. I know a team that has kind of trolled us this FPL season. They've hit some highs and some lows, starting with that kind of Chelsea 6-0 victory, if I do recall, but then going on to lose to some lesser opposition. But with Manchester United, as you can see, very nice fixtures. They do seem to have regained some form recently. I think the Liverpool fixture was a big turning point in their season, and I am looking at some options from their squads. I'm going to highlight 3 players that I'm looking for. You can even substitute Pukki or Otamendi for these players. There was a reason I didn't highlight the Manchester United defenders in my kind of replacements for Otamendi. It's because I'm going to be doing it now. So I'm looking at the likes of Wan-Bissaka as an Otamendi replacement, simply because the Manchester United defense hasn't actually been that bad. A little bit annoying that they did concede against Norwich late on. Just shows that maybe they are a little bit vulnerable in 1 or 2 situations, but overall they have been quite good defensively. I think the only better defensive side than them has been Liverpool in terms of shots conceded. So Wan-Bissaka looks like a good option for me. You could also opt for the likes of Harry Maguire, maybe a little bit more attacking threat with Harry Maguire off those set pieces, but Wan-Bissaka just as a bonus point magnet in my opinion, so I would look at him. In terms of attacking options, the one player I'm looking at is Anthony Martial. Reason being, he's cheaper than Rashford, he is a midfielder, and the forwards have kind of been a competitive spot in our FPL team, so you could opt for Rashford as well. I don't think it helps Rashford or Martial the amount of penalties they have been missing, but at least they've been getting them, so I would look at those 2 options, especially with these fixtures, and I do think that they should be offering some good value and some good differential punts. Going on to our player kind of spotlight, the first one is Jamie Vardy. Obviously, after his very good Friday night game against Southampton, I do think it's a little bit annoying that he has hit form right now, as I do think that the Crystal Palace away fixture is a lot harder than I think people are anticipating. I do think that that's going to be quite a tough game for Leicester. I think that Crystal Palace have been quite good overall. I know that this weekend against Arsenal, that wasn't the best reflection, but I do think that it was kind of just a bogey fixture for Crystal Palace, and I do think they're going to kind of rebound defensively against Leicester. So it's a little bit annoying, as it seems like if you don't bring Jamie Vardy in now, you're going to be missing those nice price rises and probably buy him for a lot more come game week 12. But that's kind of where I'm looking at bringing him in, is game week 12, kind of putting out some fires now, kind of paving the way for Jamie Vardy to enter my team in game week 12. But I do think if you go for him now, could get some returns against Crystal Palace. Maybe they're going to smash them again 9-0 like they did Southampton. But I do think that that's a little bit of a tougher fixture, and I'll be holding off for that fixture and then bring him in game week 12 for that nice run of fixtures that Leicester do have. Jamie Vardy, as I said, 9 goals, looks to be going on to that 20 mark goals a season, and that'll be absolutely stellar for a player priced around that 9 million mark. So Jamie Vardy, definitely one that I'd be looking to bring him in. I don't know if I would do it this game week, but I do think you have to kind of see how you're going to be bringing the Leicester striker in, as if he does bang against Crystal Palace, everyone will be bringing him in, so just keep an eye on that. The next player is Sergio Aguero. I know a lot of you have him in your squads. Maybe don't have the likes of Sterling, have the likes of Aguero. It's kind of a 50-50 on that call, but he was benched this weekend, which is why a lot of people are kind of annoyed. And I know the League Cup game is tonight, so maybe keep an eye on if he does start there. If he does not start in the League Cup, I think that he will play on the weekend, as Gabriel Jesus would have played 2 games in a row then, and I don't really think he's going to be playing 3. So keep an eye on that. 8 goals, 3 assists, and 574 minutes. That's quite a low amount of minutes for a kind of premium option. But the thing is, when he does play, he does score. So you can kind of keep the faith on him. My personal opinion with Man City assets is I'm looking to kind of get rid around that game week 12 mark, as they do go on a little bit of a tougher run there, especially with the likes of Newcastle away and Burnley away. I don't think those games are going to be pushovers. I know that Chelsea did score 4 goals against Burnley, but stereotypically they've always been a little bit of a better defensive side than most. So I'm looking at maybe getting rid of my Man City options as kind of taking a wild punt on maybe a double Liverpool or something like that. But with the likes of Sergio Aguero, I think that you have to hold him for the Southampton at home game. If he does start, he's guaranteed points in that. So you might as well just keep him for that and then kind of assess after that. That's the thing with the Man City options. We all know that there was going to be Pep Roulette, so we just had to kind of hold on to them and decide what to do. I think you're going to have a little bit of patience with this one. I know it might be frustrating when other Man City players are scoring tons of points and your option isn't, but that's the thing with FPL. One game week, you on top of the world, the next game week, you at the bottom. So just have a little bit of patience with Sergio Aguero. I think you do have to hold him for that Southampton game. Now moving on to captaincy, it's a little bit of a tough decision this game week as there's kind of two standouts for me and then some other more differential picks, but I think you have to go for a Man City option, whoever it is, whether it be Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, or Sergio Aguero, or if you even want to take a little bit of a punt on Benjamin Mendy, for example. I think you have to do it. I don't think Southampton will be scoring in this game, and I think that Man City are going to be taking them to the washers, and they're going to be scoring tons of goals against them. I mean, if Leicester beat them 9-0, I know it was against 10 men, but I'm expecting Man City to have a good day at the Etihad and score tons of goals. So my personal pick is Raheem Sterling, as I have him in my squad. So if you do have Sergio Aguero, you could opt for him. I think that they're all kind of risky options, so make sure that your vice captain is at least a nailed player. But other than that, there are some options like Tammy Abraham against Watford. Watford have been quite atrocious this season. I know they've picked up a little bit more form from the past couple game weeks, but I do think that Chelsea will win that game. I know that Tammy Abraham is on kind of a little bit of a goal drought, so hoping that he can rebound and get some FPL points again like we've known him to. The other option you could opt for is Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah against Aston Villa. I know that it is an away fixture, so and Aston Villa have been quite tough, but I do expect Liverpool to win that game, and you generally need 1 or 2 attacking returns from your captain to kind of make them worth it. So you could look at Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please like it if you did, and also subscribe if you're new to the channel or have not subscribed yet. Stay tuned for the team selection video coming on probably about Thursday, where we talk about my transfer thoughts and how my team got on in game week 10. But otherwise, follow me on Twitter at Dayvy Fpl so you can get those questions in for any future previews that we do. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy Fpl, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.